Greetings, good people. Welcome back to another edition of Leaders and Learners, where we all know that the best leaders are lifetime learners. And today we have a return guest, one of my faves, Steve Goldstein. He has been studying disruption, human behavior, and business evolution a long time, long before pivot became a personality trait and a cliched word. In the Blogosphere Five, Evolver, he argues that success doesn't belong to the loudest, the fastest, or the most online person. It belongs to the one who evolves on purpose. And today, we're talking about what evolution really costs, because everything comes with a cost. Who resists it, and why most leaders swear they're adaptable but panic the moment control slips from their hands. Welcome, Steve Goldstein. How are you?
I am very well, Tanya. Thank you. Nice to be here again with you.
I'm thrilled to have you. I got a question. I've been waiting since I got the book, and I've never asked you this, but who designs your covers?
Wow, I'm glad you asked that. There's a whole story behind that. I have a friend from college.
Well, we're here for stories, so please.
Yes, it's all about the stories.
It's all about the stories.
I have a friend who started out as the younger brother of my friend, and his name is Bob Wolf. His brother is Ron Wolf. He's an old friend of mine. He did this. He didn't do it on purpose. He didn't know he was designing an album cover, book cover. When you sent me this, he just sends me stuff all the time. My last book has one of his creations on it as well, also based on a Beatles album cover, you can see. But that's not the whole point of what he does. But he's experimenting. He's learning to do digital creation. And he just does this for fun and practice. And he practices using pictures of me because who knows why. When I first discovered he was doing it, I thought, well, this is weird. You know, my wife got a little concerned about it. Like, do we need to worry about this guy? Is this like a stalker? What's going on? You know, is he going to show up at our door? But Bob's a friend of mine, a long time. I mean, going back almost 50 years. And his brother Ron and his brother Dave, three Wolf brothers that I have been close to for many, many years. Ron was the manager of the band I had in college. We had a band called the Small World Band. And Ron was one of our two managers. The other was Steve Brent. So Ron and I met during our very first semester at San Diego State University. Bob was also living in the dorm at the time we were, so he was just down the hall. He was always around. And now Bob is doing this graphic art just for fun, just to expand his horizons and evolve, everything you just talked about. And he occasionally just sends me stuff. He texts me. And he says, I was just playing with some new technology. And I used a bunch of your pictures. Hope you don't mind. Here, what do you think of this? And I've got a whole file of these things. And he doesn't do it, because I ask him to. He doesn't do it because I'm writing books and I'm using these now on my book covers because they're better than anything I could come up with on my own. But I just said, this one's a winner. I wasn't going to call the book Evolver. That came from his drawing that he sent me. I'll show you the original. This is what it looked like when he sent it to me. And you can see that Beatles Revolver album and just sort of played with it and put my picture over every Beatle picture on the original album cover, took the R off of the word revolver, and it says Evolver. And I said, well, I was just finishing the book. And I said, well, there's the title of my book and there's the cover. Thank you very much. And I made sure he got one of the very first copies. In fact, I just sent him this. This is the hardcover. We just got the hardcover out. And I sent him this one because I think it's a much better looking book than the paperback version, which I wasn't completely thrilled with when I first saw that. I didn't, you publish these things on Amazon and then you really don't know how it looks and feels until you get the first copies in your hand. And you go, well, these pictures are a little weird looking. They're not glossy like the last book was. So I did it again as a hardcover and made sure that the pictures were glossier and that the margins fit within the size of the page. It's a much better looking book than the paperback, but I stand by them both. But that's where the cover came from and the title Evolver. And I have Bob Wolf to thank for that. And he still sends me stuff several times a week, takes photographs of me from all through my life and then turns them into art. They're not all collages like this, but he started off like doing Photoshop type stuff, like sticking me in a picture with the Beatles or with Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. And I'd be in the picture with them like I'm part of the band. But then he started experimenting and growing and doing new things. And he's just trying new things for his own fun. And I benefit from that. So thanks for starting with the cover.
I love that.
Be thrilled when he sees this.
Listen, I think it's great, but there's so much about your life that's always been very interesting and intriguing. So it all comes with the package when we're talking about Steve Goldstein. Listen, you frame evolvers though as a mindset. And
Yes.
I want you to be honest. How many leaders think they're evolvers, but are actually just good at rebranding old habits?
When you ask it that way, I'd have to say it's the latter. Most of them, most people are rebranding and trying to, change their image by, and you write about this a lot and talk about it a lot on your podcast. I watch it all the time. And you talk a lot about branding. It's all about branding. And a lot of people don't understand what that is. And they get it wrong. They think, well, I'll just change the name of this and it'll be a whole new brand. Well, it's not a new brand. It's still you and what you're presenting. And you're not changing that. You're changing a name. And changing a name can only go so far. Branding means being flexible, growing with it. My wife likes to say, he who has flexibility has control. And she could not be more correct about that. And I've actually tried to learn from her how to do more of that myself, because I'm not really overtly a person who embraces change. I like things to be the way they are. I don't like to learn new things. You were just talking before about the technology you use on this podcast and how when they decide to upgrade something or change something, you've got to completely on the fly relearn the whole, what did they do to help you? And what they did was they're taking more of your time now that you didn't plan on to figure this thing out now. And so anytime I go into my email or go onto social media and something has changed, something isn't where I'm used to it being, and now I've got to relearn it. And I didn't factor that into my schedule that day. I got to learn how to do this now before I can look at my email or respond to something, which is just slowing me down. I'm just trying to work, And so, but because of that, you learn. And I wrote this in my very first book when you and I talked about my first book, which was called But I Digress, the original notes from the blogosphere. It starts right in the very beginning of the book, where that book evolved out of the fact that Facebook changed something that I was using for 11 years, a thing called Notes. They had a notes section. And I was blogging. That was my blog space. And I wasn't doing it for publication, really. And I wasn't doing it to put my stories out there. I was just motivated to write stories every once in a while. And I wrote them right there on that page, the notes page on Facebook. And I'd go back and reread my old stuff and, evaluate it and say, well, this one's pretty good. This one I can fix a little bit. I can say this better. I can edit that. And then suddenly I wasn't able to do that. And then notes disappeared. Facebook decided one day, yeah, we're done with notes, without asking anybody. And that's when I came to the realization that in social media, on Facebook and Meta, all that stuff, we are not the customer. We are the product. They are, they're marketing us. They're marketing our eyeballs going to their advertisers. And it doesn't matter what we like. It doesn't matter what we think or how we use it. The important thing to them is we're addicted to it. I need it every day to go on Facebook and see every stupid thing that's on there and to create my own, whatever it is. I'm putting stuff out that I enjoy and I hope others enjoy it too. And then you find out if they do or they don't, but I'm really not doing it for anybody but myself. Writing those notes in that blog space was for my own release, my own entertainment, telling stories from my childhood, which evolved into these books because I don't have it on Facebook anymore. But now I'm on Substack. I'm writing there, and who knows when that's going to change or go away, and I won't be able to do that anymore after I've put 50 stories up on there, So that's me responding to the changes that we have no control over.
Yeah.
And I noticed in your title, you use the abbreviated version of control. Well, evolving is controlling what you can control, adapting to it, changes beyond your control, and learning new things, whether you want to or not.
Yeah.
So rather than going kicking and screaming, which I usually am, I just roll with it and try to adapt, and something better comes along. And I've learned now here I am with 5 books out. I never planned to put these out. I had one book that I wrote back in 2009, the Cemetery book that most people know me for. And that was published by a real publisher, and it's in bookstores, and it's still in bookstores. And I get paid twice a year for that one. But it's still out there. And that was the book I wanted to write, and it was done. And I didn't start thinking, well, I'm going to start writing books now, but I do like to write. I'm a creative person, and I like to tell stories. And so sometimes they form in my head in such a way that I'm going, that's pretty good. I should write that, I should write that down. And I was doing it on this blog space on Facebook, and now that's gone. So now instead of notes on Facebook, I'm doing notes in the blogosphere, and then publishing one book a year. So that's what I'm doing now for fun.
Steve, You're creative, yes, but you're also one of the smartest people I know. And I want to ask you, what's harder for people to let go of, relevance or authority?
Wow. I think different people want different things. Some people want to be relevant, and some people want to be in authority. Some people want to be right no matter what.
Mm.
Worry about being wrong or proven wrong. People have their mindset a certain way, and then you can't convince them of other. We see a lot of that these days. People just believe what they want to, and in spite of evidence to the contrary, people believe what they believe. And I find it's impossible to change people's minds. So you've got to be the one who's willing to learn and grow. And I try to do that. But to your question, what do people prefer to be relevant, or they prefer to be in charge? Not everybody's a leader. Not everybody wants to be in charge. People like to be soldiers. People like to be, on a team or part of an organization and be told what to do, so that they're not completely responsible for the outcome. Leaders have to take responsibility.
Yep.
So with authority comes responsibility and
accountability.
Accountability for sure, yeah.
And not everybody wants the accountability part.
That's exactly right. That's exactly
right. It's wild out there with these people.
It's the wild, wild west.
We happen to know some of these people, but I digress.
Some of them are.
But I digress. His other book.
But I digress. Some of them are right here around us, in our little
Circling
town.
The wagons, yeah. Your work suggests personal. It suggests that evolution is personal before it's professional.
Oh yeah.
What internal shift do most people refuse to make, even when the data is screaming at them?
People, I think, don't welcome new technology. I'm certainly a slow adapter when it comes to that, but I do learn it eventually. People like what they know they can do. And being challenged to do something you haven't done yet or haven't learned yet can be threatening and challenging for sure. And people don't want to, take that extra step and learn the new steps or figure out something that was working and maybe isn't working anymore. What can I do to make this? You mentioned the word relevance. What can I do to make this more relevant or make it more palatable to the people that are resistant?
Steve, some of the people, this will be their first time hearing from you or learning who you are. So let them know what your day job is and why is so many pictures in here of rock bands and musical moments. Like, what is going on? Because if they just got the book, they might not know what you do in your day job. But if they know what you do in your day job, they might not know, why is this guy surrounded by guitars and bands and very festive,
boy, that's a great question.
Partying pictures.
There are two stories in here that have to do with my profession. I snuck them in. And the first book talks more about how I ended up in this business. I own a payroll company. I own a company called Payroll Management Solutions. We're a payroll service. I've been in the payroll service business for 43 years. It even blows my mind every time I say that. 43 years, since 1983. Started my own company in 2004. So we're going into our 22nd year as Payroll Management Solutions. I'm the founder and president of Payroll Management Solutions, based here in Los Angeles. And the payroll business was not something that I set out to do. I mean, I didn't grow up thinking I'm going to be a payroll guy, And what I wanted to be was a singer-songwriter, and I was very prone to doing that. I started playing guitar and writing songs when I was 10 or 11 years old. I've played in bands my entire life since then. I'm in a band now. We just put out our second album. We've been together 13 years. I had a second band for several years during that time. Payroll is something I fell into accidentally while I was trying to make a living, while I was trying to make it as a professional singer-songwriter and musician. So that was my real passion and remains my real passion. But payroll was something I started doing following a series of sales jobs when I was in my mid-20s. I was just trying to pay the rent, and playing in nightclubs at night. I was going out and playing gigs, meeting other musicians, forming bands along the way, or playing as a singer-songwriter. I made a couple of 45s as demos of songs I was writing. I was trying to sell the songs. And meanwhile, I had to pay bills and pay rent. And I was living here in the South Bay by then. I was living in Hermosa Beach starting in 1983. So I started doing these sales jobs. I sold copiers. I sold dictating machines. I sold long distance service back when that was a business. Nobody sells long distance service anymore. But I answered an ad in the paper one day for a company that was looking for salespeople who had that kind of experience. People that have gone out and knocked on doors and sold things like they said in the ad, if you sold copiers, if you sold dictating machines or long distance service, I said, bingo, I've done all of that, just in the past year. So I went and interviewed for the job. It turned out to be a payroll company. And he hired me reluctantly. He said, I need people, but I can tell you're going to last about 6 months. But, if you're still interested, call me tomorrow and we'll talk about it. So I did. And I tried to back out of the process. I said, let's talk about your long distance. I'm going to stick with that. You're right. I'm jumping too soon here. And then I started asking him about his long distance and see if I could, get him to look at our company that I was working for. So he decided he was interested in pursuing hiring me. So I discovered payroll was something I had a real affinity for because everybody has a payroll. Most businesses have employees. If they have employees, they're paying their employees. They have a payroll. So they're doing it somehow. And that comes with tax liabilities and all this responsibility that sometimes people don't even know they have. So I started finding people that did not like the payroll company they were with, and I would sell them on our payroll service. So I was working for a small company. Then I started getting promoted into management and recruited by bigger companies. And I stayed in the payroll business all this time since 1983. And in 2004, my wife said to me, you could start your own business, and these clients that you've been, bringing on could be your clients instead of belonging to the guy that's hiring you. And now that you're arguing with them and not getting along with them, I said, you're right. So I started my own company and I took 60 of my clients with me from the old company because he didn't consider them clients. They were small businesses. He goes, I'm tired of what he called the candy store payrolls and the mom and pop payrolls. I'm tired of having to teach small business owners about FUTA and SUI and FICA, all the taxes. But that's what I was good at, explaining all that to them and making them see why they needed us. And that's why he hired me away from the bigger company that I was working for when he met me. And so I just stayed in payroll, and that became my business. And I became good at it. And then through that, I got more involved in the community that I was living in. When I moved to the South Bay, I wasn't thinking of getting involved with the Chamber of Commerce or local government or any of that. But suddenly I was a business owner and a homeowner. I started out as a renter who was just playing in bands and trying to enjoy life by the beach. And suddenly I'm a property owner, I'm a business owner, and I have a vested interest in what goes on in my community and who's in favor of certain things that are going to benefit the community and who's against any kind of change. That's when I started learning who the evolvers were and who they weren't, and who stands in the way of progress and whether the progress is really good or not good. It's not always good, but sometimes it can be. People resist change, and then suddenly you're fighting for something and you're thinking, why am I fighting with these people? Who are these people? I've lived here for so many years. I didn't even know most of these people who they were. Suddenly they all are coming after me because I'm chairman of the Chamber of Commerce or whatever. So, I learned a lot from that. And that was somewhat beneficial to my business life and my social life. And anyway, did that answer the question or did I go way off topic there? But that's why
that answered the question.
Things in here because I write about things I am passionate about, and that's the music that I make with my band and my friends, and the bands we all like to go see and listen to ourselves. And so I like to go to certain concerts and write about them. And sometimes I don't write about every concert I go to, but the ones that move me, because I'm moved, I want to share it. I want to write about it, express my my feelings or my emotion from going to a certain show. So those are the things that end up being in these books. Sometimes. It's not all.
You're so multifaceted. It feels like people are, I think there was a point where, you had to be one thing, right?
Yeah.
And you, for the longest time, have decided, I'm not just one thing, I'm all of these things. Like, who gave you, or where did you get the temerity to decide you can be multifaceted in a world where people are pigeonholed and put in boxes? I mean, the nerve.
Well, I think it's because I decided I didn't care what they thought. I'm not living my life for them. I'm living my life for me. And so I've got to do what keeps me entertained. I've got to do what keeps me going. And I'm glad I'm in the payroll business. I'm glad my business is successful. Thank God. Thank God I'm not this age and looking for something else to do to make a living. This is working out. People seem to know us and like us and refer business to us. So that's great. I love not having to go through an office park and knock on doors. I haven't done that in years, or call people that aren't, that I haven't been personally referred to. So I'm in a position now after so many years of doing this where I only do business with people that have been referred to me by people I know, like, and trust, and that they know, like, and trust, because I want to know who I'm doing business with. Payroll is an area where if you just take on anybody as a client, some of them are out to commit fraud and scam you. And there's a lot of that. People have figured out how to scam the payroll companies to set up fake payrolls and pay fake employees. And by the time you realize it, you're sitting there holding the bag and they're gone. And they're out there and they still contact me on a weekly basis, these scammers. And I know who they, I recognize them right away by what they ask. The questions they ask are stupid. They're not asking the questions real customers ask. I won't say what those questions are because I'm trying really hard. I don't want to train them to get better at what they're doing, trying to rip me off, So, I'm in the, I have the luxury of choosing who I work with, and life is short. That's one thing you learn. You better do what you enjoy and work with people that you enjoy working with, because what's it worth if you're forced to work with people that you just don't get along with, or that contradict you at every step, challenge you on everything. And, so I don't just, my business website is not designed to attract new business. And I have people call me all the time from search engine optimization people. So, I was looking at your website and I can help you really make this thing kick, and make it so you're found by, by people on the web. And I always say to them, well, you found me. I wasn't looking for you, but you found me.
That's a good one. Well, I've been looking at your website. Don't. I'd be like, don't.
So you found me. I don't need to be found by more people. I don't want to spend all day talking to strangers across the country who found me on the web and hire me to do their 5-man payroll. I'd rather do the 5-man payroll for someone that was referred to me by a friend, someone who knows me and really needs me. And that when I call them, I'm not selling. I'm just saying, this is what we do, and apparently you need the help. And we got referred to each other. So what do you want to do? And they said, yeah, send me the paperwork. Let's go. So
I'm just trying to figure out who told people that it was a good idea to send a cold email and tell people how they're failing and how their website sucks.
How they're failing and how only you can help them.
I really sometimes want to just respond with, do you know how this sounds? I'm going to block you. I think I'm going to just start responding with some 𝐤𝐻𝐵𝐺𝐻𝑚s, because it's wild. Like the emails hey, I know you're busy, but I was looking at your website and listen, get out of here.
Yeah.
Get out of my inbox. Get off my website. Get off.
Stop wasting my time.
Just go. That is not how you start a conversation. It's like meeting somebody on the street. Be like, hey, I saw you walking down the street and your hair is kind of nappy and your makeup's a little cakey. Why don't you let me, get with you on that? Like, what?
Let me help you. Let me fix that for you. Yeah.
What am I talking about?
Yeah.
Like,
we're not
comes up with this stuff.
We're not easily swayed by that. Don't come and tell me what my problems are, what you can do to fix it.
Hey, hi. Saw you walking down the street. You're ugly. Your shoes are messed up. Your clothes look a little sloppy. Why don't you let me help you out with that? Get out of here.
I looked at you and thought, there's my next client right there. I'm going to help that person today.
Man, if you don't go somewhere. So listen, we live in a world, speaking of appearances.
Yeah.
We live in a world where visibility is mistaken for influence. What do you think real influence looks like now, especially when trust is in a free fall?
That's a great question. I'm fascinated by people who actually their goal in life is to be an influencer. That's a profession now. Like people, is there a college course for that? Can you major in being an influencer? I don't know if they've gotten to that. When I was in college, there wasn't even a major for sales.
I think they just slap labels on things though, because let's be honest. If you are speaking on social media about shoes, and I don't buy any shoes based on what you're saying, are you really an influencer? Are you, because you're influencing me to not.
Someone with shoe companies start paying them to be, talk about their shoes, If they're
But
getting
only if they're experts in it. And I think that's kind of the problem of where we've gotten is people get to self-label themselves as an influencer or an expert when they don't even have a background in those things that they're labeling themselves as
what
an expert.
what they have is an opinion. And because they have an
They have
opinion,
a title.
A title? Yeah.
That's it. A title. You're a title. I'm gonna call.
Like
you're
these
gonna
shoes.
call yourself an
I'm an
influencer
expert because I wear these shoes. I'm an expert on these shoes. Yeah, I don't go for that. But somehow some of them are making a lot of money, and they're very young, and they don't know any other worlds before influencers.
But so I guess this is what I'm saying. If they are making a lot of money, that means they're good at it and they are actually influencing them.
They're
the
good
ones that make the money are the ones that are actually influencing.
Yeah.
However, there's a larger portion of them that are labeled influencers that aren't influencing shit.
Yeah, exactly. But they say they are. Do you notice on Facebook, I don't know if you've seen this now, but suddenly in our list of whatever it is our titles are, the things that we do are listed under our profile. And everybody now has the very first thing on there is digital creator. And I didn't do that. If you look at my Facebook page, it says now that I'm a digital creator. And I'm thinking, when did that happen? I didn't put that on there. Facebook put that on there. Because we're on Facebook, I guess that automatically makes us digital creators. But I had no way of claiming to be a digital creator. What am I doing that's besides posting once in a while on Facebook? But I bet if you look at your profile, it says you're a digital creator, and to everybody out there watching this, go look at your Facebook profile and tell me if you're a digital creator. Tell me if you knew you were a digital creator, because I didn't know I was. Apparently I am. And the checks should start rolling in anytime. Those digital creator checks.
Right. Do you monetize on social?
No, not at all. No, I haven't thought about that because again, anytime somebody's paying you, there's a responsibility that comes with that. You have to keep up a certain level of activity. Now it's your full-time job. I don't even get paid that much for these books. I mostly give them away to people that don't really want them. But again, I'm not writing it for other people. I'm writing them for me. And then I'm sharing them with friends and thinking, you're in here. You want a copy? I'll give it to you, So.
I love that.
But I did find out in January, I have like $5.50 coming now. So, sold a few books.
Listen, tell me your favorite chapter in this book.
That's a good question too. I knew you were going to ask me something like that. You did last time. Only last time you picked it.
What did you do, Steve? You should have been ready for me. Come on, I'm coming.
Well, I do like. I like the story where I get to sing with Dave Davies of the Kinks. I get called up on stage to perform with one of the guys that I'm most influenced by in my life. The Kinks, my favorite band, and I wrote in the first book about meeting Ray Davies backstage and having a personal meeting with him. And then a couple of years after that, I went to see Dave Davies at a small club twice in 1 week, and he asked for a volunteer from the audience to come up and sing with him, and I went up there and sang with him, which I never would have dreamed would have happened. So it took me a couple of years to finally write about it rather than just tell people about it. So that's one of my favorites. And then
what was that like for you, though? Like,
what was that like?
Yeah, like what did that feel like?
That was a feeling I will never forget the rest of my life. Just standing next to the guy who invented the sound of the electric guitar on You Really Got Me, changing rock music forever, is asking me 50 years later to come up on stage and sing a song with him, one of his own personal hits, not one that his brother wrote, but his own song called Death of a Clown, which was a Dave Davies solo record when the Kinks were still hot, when they were still, really breaking out in the 60s. Dave wrote a song and recorded it called Death of a Clown, and the Kinks ended up performing it every time. And Ray Davies, from that moment on, always introduced his brother as Dave, Death of a Clown Davies. He was kind of making fun of him at the same time. But that was Dave's claim to fame. So he does that song in his solo concerts with a band backing him. And he says, who wants to come up and sing this with me? So I, jumped up on stage, walked up to his microphone, introduced myself to him. He goes, this is Steve. Let's hear it for Steve. And I sang Death of a Clown with Dave Davies. And this woman from the other side of the audience who also ran up on stage. So I got me and this girl named Dolores. I was on Dave's right. Dolores was on his left, sharing Dave Davies' microphone with him, with all my friends sitting at a table right in the front row, my bandmates and whatnot. They're freaking out. They can't believe it. they're taking pictures and video, and other people in the club were taking video. And I found several videos from people I don't even know of that moment where I got on stage with Dave Davies of the Kinks and sang Death of a Clown with Dave. And that's in this book. It took all these years to write it and publish it. So that's a good one.
After, and I guess I would hope that everyone has someone that brings them that kind of joy. But even after that happens, we are still human. We all bleed the same. We all have aspirations that have nothing to do with that person that we got excited about. How do you continue? Because throughout your journey, you've met a lot of famous people.
Yes, I have.
How do you continue to stay humble? Because I have never seen you fan out, or even when I read your stuff, you talk about it, but I don't feel like you're like, if I saw Patti LaBelle, I'd probably just lose my mind and just start blubbering and saliva running down my mouth. Like
inside, exactly the response I have in my head. You know, meeting Ray Davies and going backstage and having a private meeting with him, with my wife, talking to him, having just a conversation with the guy, and at the same time saying, "Thank you for writing the soundtrack to my life." It had to be cool. You know, they don't want people fanning out. They want people to talk to them like they're human, because they're human. That's how, you know, and that's how you get to hang out with them and talk to them some more. They don't want people to say, "Oh my God, oh, you're my favorite," oh, blah, blah, you know, and then telling your friends about it. I don't want to, you know, sound like I'm bragging or just rubbing stuff in their face. You know, like you'll never believe this. I met Ray. I sang with Dave. It just, you know, the people who need to know that, and they tell other people. They say, you know, he sang with Dave Davies. I go, oh yeah, I did. Yeah. You know, so it's a good question, but you know, people do sometimes, you know, fanboy out when they see certain people. It's hard not to, and it's somebody that's really influenced you, someone you've listened to your whole life, music that has actually influenced your life and your career and just everything you do, and then to have a sit down with this person and just chat with them or just shake their hand. You know, it's Quentin Tarantino. I used to, you know, when he worked in the video store in Manhattan Beach before he became famous, I was a customer of the store, Video Archives. I still have my membership card, and after he got famous, I carried that card in my wallet on the off chance that I might ever bump into him somewhere. Like, what are the chances of that? None. You know, he wasn't living in the South Bay anymore. He was living in Hollywood. He had a ton of hit movies. And one day I'm up at West Hollywood at the Sunset 5 Laemmle Theater, and down the escalator comes Quentin Tarantino with Mira Sorvino, who he was dating at the time. And I said, oh my God, there's Quentin Tarantino. My friend says, you've got to go over there and talk to him. I said, nobody's bothering him. Nobody's coming up to him at all. They got in line at a coffee shop, Buzz Coffee at the bottom of the stairs. And they got in line and they were reading a newspaper. They just had their noses buried in this newspaper. Nobody's bugging them. And my friend says to me, you've been carrying that stupid membership card in your wallet all these years. There he is. Go get it. You know, go talk to the guy, you know. So, okay. So I did. And first I made sure I had a pen. So I said to my friend, do you have a pen? He goes, yeah, I got a pen. I put the pen in my pocket. I walk up to him in line at the feeling like the world's biggest asshole. I'm the only guy in this whole coffee shop that's trying to talk to Quentin Tarantino while he's definitely putting out vibes like, don't bother me. And I even told him I feel like the biggest asshole, but I used to be a Video Archives member, and I still have the membership card. And he looks up and he sees the card. And I said, I was just wondering, I've been carrying it all this time. I was wondering if you'd mind signing it. And if not, that's cool. Can I just shake your hand? And he goes, do you have a pen? I went, right here. And he wrote, nice to see you again, and signed to Quentin Tarantino. And I said, thanks. And I apologized to Mira Sorvino for bothering them. You know, I said, I'm so sorry, but thanks. So anyway, I didn't fanboy out. I just said, I really don't want to bother you, but I have the card. I've got the membership card from Video Archives. I used to be a customer. You know, he goes, oh yeah. And so that's a great story. That's in the first book, by the way. That's in Notes from the Blogosphere.
I love that. What does, because we're in such a odd place in society right now, at least ours.
Yeah.
And I want you to tell me, what role does intentional silence play in evolution? Because not everything needs a post, a statement, or a reaction. Intentional silence.
People do not have to have a immediate response to everything they see or read. And you see it everywhere. You see it, but people read things and right away they're outraged without knowing anything about it. Somebody writes something that may or may not even be true or half true. And everybody's like, oh, I'm outraged by that. And they have an opinion, a meaningless opinion, because who knows what they really know or, I try to evaluate things. I try to, do my own research and see what's really true. Because I know these days you really can't trust almost any source. You've got to really see what's factual, what's not factual. I'm always only for people I know. I don't do this with strangers. But when I see somebody posting something that I know to be false, because I've already learned that it was false, I'll find the source where it says, no, this is going around and this isn't true. This is a hoax that's over 5 years old. People are still sharing it. Like this thing about Facebook. Tomorrow's the day Facebook, goes meta. And if you don't post this, copy and paste this right now, they're going to own all your data and all your photographs. And if you post this, they can't, violate your ownership, your copyright. That's a crock of shit. That's just so not true. First of all, they own all of it anyway. They own it because they're on the site. What we talked before about, they just want you to be addicted. They don't care what you own. It's theirs. It's their platform, and they can take it away from you anytime they want. But people are posting this, and they start by saying, it's really true. I did this, and it really turned blue. What turned blue? Excuse me. I said, no, it didn't turn blue, and no, you didn't really try it for yourself. You're copying and pasting verbatim, because I've seen it 5,000 times over the last 5 or 6 years, and it's been proven false time and time again. And you're an intelligent person, and I hate to see you fall for this. And here's the link. Read the link. It's not true. But do they delete it? No. Why would? It's so easy to delete something. But once somebody says, oh, I guess it's not true, but just in case, I'm leaving it up there. No, it's not true. Take it down, because you look like an idiot, and I'm trying to help you here. But is it my place to make them not look like an idiot if they insist on being one? So.
Intentional silence, y'all. It's okay to have intentional silence.
Well, other people will tell them it's not true. It doesn't have to be me every time. I'm going to keep my mouth shut. And
no more deep thinking. No more deep thinking. Let's go into a speed round. See what you're thinking. So off the top of your head, adaptation or reinvention?
Adaption.
Okay. Curiosity or confidence?
Wow, that's a tough one. Curiosity.
Because
confidence is important. Curiosity is what makes you learn more. My wife and I like to watch historical dramas on TV, and then we're watching Victoria right now, which has been out since 2017, and we just got caught onto it. But so we start looking stuff up, like, I wonder if this is true. I wonder if this really happened. We were just in England and France recently, so the locations and the storyline itself are relevant to us more than usual. And so we're very curious, like, what really happened? When did this really happen? How is this one related to this one? So I would call that curiosity. Confidence is something else entirely. Confidence is, knowing you're right because you did the research, not thinking you're right because you read it on some stupid, post. So anybody can be confident, whether it's justified or not is up for grabs. But curiosity is what will cause you to move forward and grow.
Okay.
Tough
speed
choice.
Or sustainability?
Was the first one speed? Speed or sustainability?
Speed or sustainability?
Sustainability. You want to stick around. Speed only gets you there faster. It doesn't have to be, it's not always a good thing.
Legacy or leverage?
Wow. I'd say legacy. Leverage is what you use to manipulate people. Legacy is what you leave behind.
I like that. If someone listening realizes they've been surviving instead of evolving, what's the first uncomfortable but necessary move they need to make this week?
Wow. Well, they won't do it because they're, would you say, surviving? And
so if they came to you, if a friend that's been stuck.
Yeah, well, that's different.
Sometimes that happens. Comes to you and says, I've been stuck, but I know I need to evolve.
That's a different situation because now they're asking for my help.
Yeah. So what's the first thing you would advise them to do?
I would I would talk to them. I would ask questions. What do you feel stuck with? Where do you want to be that you're not getting to? And let's try to figure it out. So rather than just off the top of my head say, well, you should do this, or this is what I did. It's a conversation starter is what it is. It's a place to figure out what's blocking them and how they've asked for help. So they want to be unblocked. So that's the first step. They've already taken a big step just doing that. But to the others, I was starting to say, when you said survivors, they're happy just surviving. They're not asking for anyone's help. They're just trying to get through the day. And they're not, well, they might be complaining, they might not be complaining, but they're not coming to me and saying, what do you think I should do? That's a different story. So I will always try to help somebody that's asking for my help if I can. You know, I will take that.
And if what they need to do is evolve because they've been stuck,
yeah,
and you realize that, Mr. Evolver.
Yeah.
What's the first thing you tell them to do?
Try something outside their comfort zone. Do something you've never done before. Read something you've never read before. Go out and meet some new people. Get some new points of view, some new perspectives, because you're surrounding yourself with the same people every day. So meeting new people is the key to that. My wife got me to evolve in a lot of ways that I never would have seen coming. I never thought I'd be a business owner until she was the entrepreneur originally. And she says, you need to do this. You should start your own payroll company. And I thought, you know what? That's a pretty good idea.
We could have a whole show about your wife because I'm sure there's a million things she got you to do because she is a spitfire. So for y'all out there that don't know Steve's wife. She's also had a very fascinating life. She's a very interesting woman, so, which is how I got her. She's fun, she's funny, and she's smart as a whip. Yeah, that's for sure. Love her. Love her. What's next right now, after this? Blogosphere 6, I imagine, which I'm about 4 chapters into it so far. Oh, okay. Yeah. Because I didn't know I wanted to write any more books. Yeah. Well, it's become a process now that it's just part of my routine and again, I mentioned earlier, I'm writing now on Substack, and right now it's a combination of some stories that are in the previous books, some from the new book, and some that I haven't published in a book at all. But every once in a while, I just throw something up there on Substack just for my own enjoyment. I'm treating it the way I used to treat the notes section on Facebook. Yeah. I get an idea to write something, but right now I'm just, every once in a while, I think I should post something, and I go back to these other stories and I think, what do I feel like sharing right now that maybe people haven't seen because they don't have the book? So that's what's on Substack, and I try to publish those so that people and people find those and they read them, and then they end up subscribing to that. And again, I don't make any kind of money from that or get any real glory from that, but it's fun for me to do. It's a way to express myself and be creative. And the friends who are interested, the people that want to read it, and the ones who don't. And a lot of my friends are on there too. So it's another form of conversation where we're writing, responding to each other. People get to know you. Exactly. And then they can comment on it, and they can, just like on any social media, somebody sees something you did and they can say, yeah, I agree with you about this, or I had a similar situation happen to me, and they start sharing. And so that's, again, it's all just conversation starter, passing down stories. I hear you. Well, Steve, we want to thank you for being here. You are absolutely amazing. Always. Real pause track. Love the books, and let the people know how they can continue to follow you and be a part of your journey. Sure. Thank you. Well, all the books are on Amazon. I've got an author's page on Amazon.com. Look up Steve Goldstein. Look up the book, Blogosphere 5 Evolver, EVOLVER. It's Revolver without the R. And you'll find all my other books there, including the Cemetery book from 2009. But you'll find 5 Blogosphere books. They're all in paperback. They're all on Kindle, and 2 of them are on hardcover. And I have a hard copy of this for you, Tanya. Next time I see you, you're getting a hard copy. Because it looks, I know you have the paperback, and this is just. Yes, thank you very much. And the business is payrollmanagementsolutions.com. Don't worry about going there. I also have my band, Virtual Campfire. No new friends. No new friends. We have 2 CDs on. You can find us on Bandcamp, virtualcampfire.bandcamp.com. And we have a page called virtualcampfire.net. We're also on YouTube. I'm on Facebook. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on UTwitface. All those things. All the things. Yeah. Listen, Steve Goldstein is not hard to find, and he is Good for the soul. And if you get bored with him, swing on over and follow his wife because she is hilarious.
Jennifer.
That woman is. You need some Jennifer Goldstein in your life. I'm trying to tell you.
I know I do.
I love it. Hey, thanks for being here. I look forward to the next time we get together. And I need to see you guys in person soon. So let's make that happen.
Pick a day for lunch or something. I'll bring you this hardcover.
All right.
Bring you the hardcover on my lunch. Thanks, everybody.
Bye. Hey, thanks for showing up to the podcast where we all know that the best leaders are lifetime learners. When you get a sec, take a moment, leave a comment. What you think about today's episode, and share it with someone that you know could use the gems that were dropped today. Follow and subscribe. You don't want to miss who's coming up next. You never know who could show up here and what they could say. For your professional needs, marketing, PR, communications, and leadership, make sure you follow us on all social media platforms at Sand and Shores, or hit us up at sandandshores.com. Again, thanks so much for showing up. We appreciate you, and we'll see you soon.